Picture it, 1963. America's still reeling from the space race, backyard bomb shelters are a thing, and television is about to get seriously strained. Enter The Outer Limits, a black and white anthology series that dared to ask bigger questions than its sci-fi peers. While The Twilight Zone loved its twist endings and moral fables, The Outer Limits went darker, weirder, and way more monster-heavy. For 2 seasons, it terrified kids, captivated adults, and gave nightmares to anyone who watched the Xanthi Misfits alone. It launched careers, pioneered special effects, and influenced everything from The X-Files to Black Mirror. But behind those iconic control voice monologues and rubber-suited creatures lies a treasure trove of casting near misses, network battles, and production chaos you never knew about. Today, we're counting down 13 weird facts you didn't know about The Outer Limits. If this show scared you as a kid or you discovered it on late-night cable marathon, hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep exploring the TV that shaped us all. Number 13. The show was almost called Please Stand By. Before The Outer Limits became the name we know, creator Leslie Stevens had a different, equally unnerving title in mind, Please Stand By. The phrase was what viewers saw during technical difficulties, which perfectly captured the show's conceit of something hijacking your television. Stevens envisioned the control voice literally interrupting your regular programming, breaking the fourth wall before that was even a common technique. ABC executives loved the concept, but hated the title, worried it would confuse viewers into thinking their sets were malfunctioning. They'd change the channel before the show even started. Stevens fought hard for it, but the network won. Ironically, Please Stand By might have been too ahead of its time. The title The Outer Limits suggested boundaries being pushed and rules being broken, which is exactly what the show delivered every week. Sometimes the backup plan is actually the better plan. Number 12. The control voice was never supposed to be so iconic.
There is nothing wrong with your television set.
That deep, authoritative voice intoning, "There is nothing wrong with your television set," became the show's signature, but it almost didn't exist at all. Leslie Stevens initially wanted complete silence during the opening, just eerie visuals and the image distortions. Network executives panicked, insisting viewers needed verbal reassurance that their TVs weren't actually broken. Stevens reluctantly agreed to add narration, but he made sure it sounded ominous and controlling rather than comforting. Voice actor Vic Perrin was hired at the last minute and recorded the iconic opening in a single take. He was paid scale, around $150, for what became one of television's most recognizable voice performances. Perrin would return throughout the series to voice various characters, but he's forever immortalized as that disembodied warning. The compromise the network forced on Stevens ended up becoming the show's most memorable element. Sometimes interference creates magic. Number 11. Harlan Ellison wrote his episodes while literally locked in a room. Legendary sci-fi writer Harlan Ellison contributed 2 classic episodes, Demon with a Glass Hand and Soldier, but his working conditions were legendarily bizarre. Producer Joseph Stefano didn't trust Ellison's reputation for missing deadlines, so he locked him in an office with a typewriter, coffee, and sandwiches until the scripts were finished. Ellison, being Ellison, turned it into a performance piece, shouting updates through the door and demanding better snacks. Demon with a Glass Hand, often cited as one of the series' best episodes, was written in roughly 48 sleepless hours. The episode later became the center of a lawsuit when James Cameron's The Terminator bore striking similarities to its plot. Ellison sued and won, receiving a settlement and a credit on Terminator home video releases. That locked room writing session produced an episode so influential it echoed through science fiction for decades. Desperation and confinement apparently worked wonders for Ellison's creativity. Number 10. Robert Culp appeared more than any other actor. While The Outer Limits was an anthology series with no recurring characters, Robert Culp holds the record for most appearances, starring in 3 different episodes as 3 completely different people. He appeared in The Architects of Fear, Demon with a Glass Hand, and Corpus Earthling, delivering memorable performances in each. Culp was a favorite of the producers because he could handle the show's philosophical dialogue while still bringing genuine emotion to bizarre scenarios. His episode Demon with a Glass Hand is frequently ranked as the series' finest hour, showcasing his ability to carry an episode almost single-handedly. The show became a career stepping stone for Culp, leading directly to his starring role in I Spy a few years later. Casting directors noticed how well he handled complex material under pressure. For Anthology series, finding reliable actors who could anchor strange stories was gold, and Culp proved he could do it repeatedly without ever feeling repetitive. Number 9. The monsters cost more than the guest stars. The Outer Limits became famous for its creatures, but those bears, as the crew called them, ate up most of each episode's budget. A single monster suit could cost anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000, which was astronomical for 1963 television. By comparison, guest stars typically earned $500 to $1,500 per episode. This budgetary reality meant producers often cast talented but less expensive actors, which accidentally gave the show a raw, unpredictable quality. Makeup artist John Chambers, who later won an Oscar for Planet of the Apes, cut his teeth designing creatures for the series. The network constantly pressured producers to feature a monster in every episode, believing that's what viewers wanted. This bear requirement sometimes forced writers to shoehorn creatures into stories that didn't need them. But those practical effects, built with imagination and limited resources, still hold up better than you'd expect. There's something genuinely unsettling about physical creatures that CGI often can't replicate. Number 8. The show was filmed at the same studio as The Andy Griffith Show. Here's a mental image for you. While Sheriff Andy Taylor was peacefully solving Mayberry's problems on one soundstage, alien invasions and body horror were happening just down the hall. The Outer Limits filmed at Desilu Studios, sharing space with some of television's friendliest shows. Cast and crew would occasionally cross paths in the commissary, creating surreal moments where actors in monster suits sat next to Opie and Aunt Bee. The contrast wasn't lost on anyone involved. Cinematographer Conrad Hall, who later won Oscars for American Beauty and Road to Perdition, shot many episodes and loved the challenge of creating cosmic dread in the same studio where Lucy Ricardo caused chaos. The sound stages themselves were repurposed constantly, so a set that was a spacecraft one week might be a Mayberry storefront the next. This behind-the-scenes collision of tones is quintessentially 1960s television, when variety and experimentation existed side by side. Number 7. Network executives hated the philosophical dialogue. The Outer Limits didn't just want to scare you, it wanted to make you think. And ABC executives absolutely hated that ambition. Producer Joseph Stefano filled scripts with existential questions about humanity, consciousness, and morality, which network brass found too cerebral for prime time. They constantly pushed for simpler stories with clearer villains and heroes, fearing viewers would tune out if they had to think too hard. Stefano fought back, arguing the show's intelligence was its selling point, what separated it from cheap sci-fi schlock. The battle came to a head during the first season, when ratings were good but not spectacular. ABC threatened cancellation unless the show became more accessible, which Stefano interpreted as dumbed down. He eventually left the series after the first season, exhausted from fighting network notes. The second season, produced without his creative vision, noticeably shifted toward more straightforward monster stories and less philosophical depth. Viewers noticed the change, and ratings actually declined. Turns out audiences appreciated being challenged after all. Halfway through the countdown, let me ask you something. Which Outer Limits episode gave you nightmares as a kid? Was it the Xanti Misfits, the silicon-based creature from the Architects of Fear, or something else entirely? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you're loving this trip down memory lane, smash that subscribe button. Number 6. Martin Landau nearly became a regular before Martin Landau became Mr. Spock's father on Star Trek, or won an Oscar for Ed Wood. He almost became the Outer Limits' first recurring character. After his chilling performance in The Man Who Was Never Born, producers loved him so much they wanted to bring his character back in multiple episodes, creating an anthology within the anthology. Landau was interested, seeing potential for exploring the same character across different time periods and scenarios. But his film career was gaining momentum, and he couldn't commit to a television schedule. The producers briefly considered recasting the character with another actor, but decided it wouldn't work without Landau's specific intensity. So, The Outer Limits remained purely anthology, never attempting another recurring character. Landau's decision probably worked out for everyone involved. He went on to Mission Impossible and film stardom, while the show maintained its unique format. But imagine how different television history might have been with sci-fi's first recurring time-traveling protagonist in 1963. Number 5. One episode inspired Star Trek's Gorn. If the Gorn captain from Star Trek's Arena episode looked familiar, there's a reason. The creature designer, Hua Chang, previously worked on the Outer Limits episode Fun and Games, which featured a reptilian alien warrior. When Gene Roddenberry needed a monster for Kirk to fight, Chang essentially redesigned his earlier creation with a bigger budget and color film. The similarities are unmistakable: reptilian humanoid, lumbering movement, scenario involving forced combat. Roddenberry was a huge Outer Limits fan and borrowed more than just creature design. The show's philosophical approach to sci-fi, using alien encounters to explore human nature, became Star Trek's blueprint. Several Outer Limits writers, including Harlan Ellison, would later write for Star Trek, creating a direct creative lineage. Even the famous bear philosophy, that you needed a monster for viewers to stay interested, influenced Star Trek's early creature-heavy episodes. The Outer Limits essentially taught television how to do thoughtful science fiction on a budget, and Star Trek took those lessons to new heights. Number 4. The show was filmed in stunning black and white on purpose. Color television existed in 1963, and ABC offered The Outer Limits a bigger budget to shoot in color. Creator Leslie Stevens and cinematographer Conrad Hall turned it down flat, insisting black and white was essential to the show's atmosphere. They weren't being stubborn or old-fashioned. They understood something crucial about visual horror. Black and white created shadows, ambiguity, and an otherworldly quality that color would have destroyed. The deep blacks and stark contrasts made even cheap monster suits look genuinely alien and threatening. Hall experimented with lighting techniques that wouldn't be widely used for years, creating the show's signature unsettling mood. When the series finally did shoot a few episodes in color late in the second season as a last-ditch attempt to boost ratings, the magic noticeably diminished. The creatures looked like guys in rubber suits, the sets looked like sets, and the cosmic dread evaporated. Stevens and Hall had been right all along. Sometimes limitations force creativity, and The Outer Limits proved that technological progress isn't always better. Number 3. It was canceled because of Peyton Place. The Outer Limits didn't die because of bad ratings or creative exhaustion. It was murdered by ABC's own programming decisions, specifically the network's obsession with Peyton Place. In 1965, ABC did something unprecedented. They scheduled Peyton Place twice weekly, treating the primetime soap opera as appointment television. To make room in the schedule, they shifted The Outer Limits to Saturday nights at 7:30, the worst possible time slot. Saturday evening was when families went out, not stayed home watching philosophical sci-fi. The show's core audience of thoughtful adults and teenagers couldn't find it anymore. Producers begged the network to reconsider, knowing the time slot was a death sentence. But ABC was betting everything on soap opera melodrama. Ratings predictably collapsed, and Cancellation followed. The irony is that The Outer Limits was creating the template for prestige sci-fi television, but the network wanted soap opera ratings instead. 50 years later, streaming services would have killed for content this innovative and bingeable. Number 2. William Shatner nearly starred in multiple episodes before becoming Captain Kirk. William Shatner was offered not one but 3 different Outer Limits episodes during the show's run. He turned down all of them due to scheduling conflicts with his theater work and other television commitments. The most notable rejection was Demon with a Glass Hand, which eventually went to Robert Culp and became one of the series' most celebrated episodes. Shatner later admitted in interviews that passing on The Outer Limits was one of his bigger career regrets, especially after seeing how the show launched other actors into the sci-fi stratosphere. Ironically, his Star Trek co-star Leonard Nimoy did appear in an episode, Production and Decay of Strange Particles, before landing the Spock role. The show became a proving ground for actors who could handle cerebral sci-fi material, and Shatner's absence meant he had to prove himself elsewhere. By the time Star Trek came around, producers knew to look for actors who could balance action with philosophy, a balance The Outer Limits had perfected. Number 1. The show's influence on The X-Files was deliberate. When Chris Carter created The X-Files in 1993, he explicitly told his writers and designers to study The Outer Limits for inspiration. The anthology within a series format, the atmospheric black and white aesthetic in certain episodes, even the show's willingness to leave questions unanswered. all came directly from Leslie Stevens' creation. Carter understood that The Outer Limits had cracked the code for making television sci-fi feel cinematic and important. Several X-Files episodes, particularly the standalone Monster of the Week stories, are spiritual successors to classic Outer Limits episodes. The DNA is unmistakable. Ordinary people confronted with inexplicable phenomena, stories that use sci-fi to explore human nature, and an underlying sense that we're not alone in a comforting way. Carter even hired some crew members who'd worked on the 1990s Outer Limits revival. The influence both ways through television history, creating a lineage of thoughtful, atmospheric sci-fi. Without The Outer Limits pioneering the format, there's no X-Files, which means no Fringe, no Black Mirror, none of it. One Little Anthology show from 1963 essentially built the foundation for modern genre television. So there you have it. 13 weird facts about a show that scared us, made us think, and influenced everything that came after. Which fact surprised you most? Drop a comment and share this with anyone who remembers watching The Outer Limits late at night, lights off, completely transfixed. Until next time, keep exploring the stories behind the stories. There's always something wonderful hiding in television history.